Kansas City. To say her book, Sex and the City, was a hit is putting it mildly. Author Candace Bushnell's trailblazing novel 20 years ago helped reshape pop culture and how we talk about sex and dating. And she's back with a new book, Is There Still Sex in the City? But it's not quite a sequel. And joining us now is the Candace Bushnell. Welcome to Better Kansas City. Thank you so much for sitting with us here for the last 25 minutes. Apologize for having you wait a little bit there.
Well, it's really been fun, and I'm just absorbing the Kansas City vibe,
Good.
which I'm very much enjoying.
Oh,
I have to say.
We're so glad that you're here today, and so glad you're talking tonight for Rainy Day Books about your new book. But kind of walk us through it. Obviously, Sex and the City, just super huge from the book to the show. It just transcended culture. As a matter of fact, I was watching a show yesterday about 2000s media, and they just ogled over it.
Well, you know what? It is extraordinary and interesting to me. I think one of the reasons why it's so big is that there's just so much TV, so that it keeps being binge watched by college girls. But is there still Sex in the City? I really felt the same, going back to the roots of Sex in the City, which was really about a single woman in her 30s, take away all the glitz and this and that, trying to make it and trying to find herself in a time when it wasn't so cool to be single.
Yeah.
So is there still Sex in the City? It's the Sex in the City woman, in a sense, 25 years later.
Okay.
Maybe she's found her Mr. Big, or she thought she had her Aiden, or even her Harry, and then something happens, like me, and she ends up getting divorced and finds herself literally having to start over again in her mid-50s. So that's what Is There Still Sex in the City is about.
Cool.
And it's also has been optioned to be a TV series.
Really?
So I've started working on that, which is very exciting.
So obviously Sarah Jessica Parker was the lead in Sex and the City. Do you have an idea who might you cast, or who may be cast in this new TV show? Or do you have an idea of who you want to be cast?
I do secretly, but I have so learned not to.
Shut.
Yes,
Okay.
I mean, actually, this is my 4th TV series, and you have this dream, but they're never available.
Never available, I gotcha. Well, you've been compared to authors like Jane Austen, Edith Wharton, Dorothy Parker, in the way you approach some of the topics that you go through. What does that mean to you when big literary names like that are thrown out in comparison with yourself? How does that make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel great, but I understand the reason for it, and it's because it's really about observing the culture and having something to say about the culture. I really feel a lot like I'm an anthropologist, and I'm observing people and our routines and our rituals as human beings, and also the kinds of things that trip us up.
Yeah.
It's a lot for me as a woman. It's a lot about the messages that women get from society and how that impacts our lives. And I especially see that in Is There Still Sex in the City, because it's about women over 50.
Yeah.
And this is traditionally a group of women who, they don't matter. They literally are invisible or irrelevant.
What do you want women to take away then after they're done reading that book? I mean, should they feel empowered? Should they feel, what are you looking for them to feel once they're done putting down Is There Still Sex in the City?
Well, it's a very funny book, and I feel like it's a bit of an emotional journey, like it really is going through this passage of time that I call middle-age madness, when your life really can be in upheaval.
Yeah.
And there are surprises and there are ups and downs, and you have to kind of reinvent yourself in some ways as a woman. And I think the idea is like, hey, we're here to help you go through that passage and come out on the other side,
well, it's definitely
where you will be empowered and enlightened.
Well, you know what? It's been a pleasure sitting next to you here for the last, half hour now. So
Yes,
I'm glad we
great.
got to spend some time together and glad we got to talk on air about your new book. And you can hear more from Candace tonight at Rainy Day Books author event where she presents her new novel, Is There Still Sex in the City? 7 o'clock at the Mid-Continent Public Library, Woodneath Library Center in Kansas City, Missouri. For more information, call the number on your screen.